I have new crime data to share with you today, and it may not shock some of you that we continue to see a sustained and pervasive decline in crime, all kinds of crime in the United States. The reason it might not be surprising to you, but it would be surprising to the regular consumers of Fox News and other right-wing media, is that one of the greatest stories that has been told over the last few years, in the absence of any serious criticisms of the Biden administration, is that it's really dangerous out there. Carjackings and sexual assaults and murder and all categories of crime that, of course, still exist in a country of 340 million people, but continue to decline. Much broader decline, by the way, than anything we would just say is thanks to Joe Biden, but continuing to see these declines during the Biden administration. Now, they've already got their talking points. They've already got their rebuttals. We're going to go through them one by one so that you can be prepared and we can really kind of think through whether any of the criticisms of these data are valid. But starting at the top, ABC News reports FBI's latest data shows historic drop in crime. Reported incidents of violent crime dropped 15% according to the FBI data. When you read into this further, you see that this applies to really all types of crime. Murder down 26%. And you can go and read through it. Property crime, all sorts of different crime. So why is it that we see this and yet 26% reduction in murder, 25% reduction in rapes, 13% reduction in aggravated assaults, 18% reductions in robberies, and yet this is not going to be convincing to the crowd that insists it's more dangerous than ever out there? And if they can somehow blame undocumented immigrants or documented immigrants, whatever, they'll blame whoever they can if they can get away with it. Why is this the case that we continue to hear these talking points from them? Well, part of it is they don't really have that much else to offer. And so they have to insist that crime is up. But let's talk through some of their rebuttals. One thing that you will see is, David, you said this is based on reported crime. The truth is, they will argue, crime rates are actually up, but people are so disgusted with the sad state of affairs with regard to crime that they've stopped reporting crimes. There are so many crimes and the police do nothing about it. Everybody's helpless, that people have stopped reporting crime. And therefore, it looks like there's less crime, but there is actually more. The problem with this argument is that even if it were true that people have stopped reporting crime to police because it's gotten so bad, we have what are called independent victimization surveys. The Bureau of Justice Statistics conducts an important one, and there are others. And that goes and just asks people, a statistically significant sampling of folks, have you been the victim of, and do you know someone who has been the victim of all of these types of crime? And what we find is that the independent crime victimization surveys track the official crime data in parallel. So they have not presented any evidence that people no longer report crime. And we have evidence that the reported crime rates mirror those of independent victimization surveys. So that's not a very good argument for them. Second argument that they will make is that the data the FBI has simply isn't accurate because many police departments no longer trust the FBI, or for whatever reason, police departments aren't reporting their crime data to the FBI. The reality is that we have long debunked this. Number one, most police departments, if they want to maintain federal funding, are required by law to report crime data to state and federal agencies. If they aren't compliant, they can be penalized and lose federal funding. So it's just not true that willy-nilly police departments are sick of wokeness or something and they're no longer reporting crime statistics to the FBI. There is absolutely no evidence of that. And secondly, it is always the case that some departments don't report, either because their data is late, incomplete, they have exemptions, or whatever the case may be. But we have had that going on for decades. It is not a new thing that some police departments don't report their data. There certainly is no swelling of that number of police departments. So that's not a good argument. Argument number three that we will hear is that while overall crime rates maybe are down, certain areas or certain specific types of crime in certain areas will have increased. Well, it's certainly true that you can have a broader trend going one way and you can find locations where maybe it's going the opposite way. I mean, listen, Oklahoma City now has a higher crime rate than New York City. Oklahoma as a state now has a higher crime rate than New York as a state. Oklahoma's having a problem. But that doesn't change the fact that overall the crime rates are going down, and it simply shifts the areas where we should be focusing. And then number 4 is sort of like a catch-all. When they've gone through number 1, 2, and 3, and we've debunked it, they will go to crime is up because Democrats defunded the police. They're lying about everything. They're making up the statistics. You can't trust any of it. That's a really hard one to argue with because they didn't reason their way into that belief. So we're not going to be able to reason them out of it. It is important to mention police have not been defunded, certainly not by the federal government. Joe Biden has certainly not defunded any police. What we have seen is that while most police departments have not seen significant cuts, there are some police departments that have implemented reforms. Like, for example, we don't always need someone with a gun going out to certain calls. We could maybe send out a social worker. And in general, outcomes are actually better when that's what police are doing. So extraordinary data here as far as crimes go. There are 3 or maybe 4 common refrains that we will hear from the right to insist that you can't trust this data, but they aren't able to bring any actual counterfactuals to the table. It's only hyperbole, speculation, and conspiracy theories. It's the same dilemma every year for Father's Day. What do you get the man who already has everything and says, I don't need any gift? Put down the slippers, step away from the necktie, and get dad something that he will actually love. An Aura digital photo frame. Our sponsor, Aura, makes stunning Wi-Fi connected digital frames that allow you to share and display unlimited photos. It's easy to upload and share photos via the Aura app. If you're giving Aura as a gift, you can even personalize it with preloaded photos and memories. I gave one of these to my dad for last Father's Day, mentioned it on the show. I recently gave my mom one of these for Mother's Day. And I put pictures of the baby up from wherever I am. They pop up on the digital picture frame. It's great. And my favorite part is that you can put pictures on without even unpacking the frame. So it's still ready to be opened up, but with pictures already on it. Now, both I and my dad can add and remove pictures remotely using the app. You also get unlimited storage on the cloud. And right now, Aura has an amazing deal for Father's Day. Go to auraframes.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman for $30 off plus free shipping on their best-selling frame. The link is in the description. Terms and conditions apply.